For our media product, the brief we decided to follow was to make a promotion package for a new film, which included a trailer alongside a website homepage and a poster. After conducting a lot of research into the various genres of film, we finally decided to take on the genre of horror, which we then decided to research into further, looking at the iconography, history and key directors of the genre. One of the main directors of the horror genre is James Wan, who I researched here, with films such as Saw, Insidious and The Conjuring. A key convention of any film, whether it is a horror or a musical, is the film production logo. These can benefit the trailer, as previous films of theirs may have been a top hit with their target audience, giving the impression that this film will be able to have the same effect. It also creates an idea for the audience watching to figure out the genre of the film and also what it could be based upon, linked to their previous films. The title of the film is a must in every trailer so that you know what the film actually is that you're watching, so you can put a name to the pictures. These titles will normally appear at the end of the trailers so that it is more likely to stay at the front of your memory, so this is what we made sure we followed with our trailer. Social networking sites are quite usually placed at the start and at the end of a film trailer to enable a larger target audience to be reached through the internet. For example, people on Facebook and Twitter can follow the process of the film if they are interested in it through these social media sites and keep up to date with release dates and such. Social media sites are one of the most beneficial ways of reaching a wider target audience and gaining more publicity. So to develop this convention into our own trailer, on the ending title we decided to add links at the bottom to our Facebook, Twitter and Snapchat sites to connect and keep our target audience interacted with us more. Like the age certificate, the release date is normally shown at the end of the trailer as well. The intention is that it will attract the attention of the target audience, persuading them to go and see the film. I also believe that it is at the end of the trailer so that it is more likely to stick in your head and you are more likely to remember it, as it will be the last thing that you see on the screen alongside the title of the film. The setting and location of the film is so important as to whether or not the horror aspect is shown through it. It needs to be a remote setting or somewhere that in real life is conveyed as being a safe place and is potentially destroyed as it becomes an unsafe place. For our location, we decided to use a house as this is a common setting used for horror trailers, as we consider our homes as being a safe place where we are with family and surrounded by safety. We also decided to use a churchyard or forest, and because the area was so isolated and as we filmed when it became dark, it became more gloomy and mysterious, linking well to our genre of horror. Point of view shots or handheld shots. These shots are important in a horror trailer especially, as it gives us as the audience a feel for what the character is feeling. We are put in a position where we are looking from their perspective and we begin to form a connection with certain characters. This also builds tension within the audience as we truly feel as though we are the person in danger. In our trailer, we followed this convention and decided to have a scene where our main character was holding the camera, and so our audience would feel much more in her position than they would if they could see her. The fonts used in film trailers are usually selected and based upon the genre of the film. For example, in a horror trailer, the fonts are more likely to be bolder and heavier, and not necessarily bright and colourful or in a fancy font. The font we decided to use was a font called Trajan Pro. After researching the fonts typically used in horror trailers, this was the font that I came across, and as it is a serif font, it worked well in connection to the horror genre. The content is non-linear, as it does not show the beginning, middle and end of the film. In connection with Chodrov's theory on narrative structure for a trailer, we usually see the hero or victim, A, the object of change, B, a disturbance caused by the object of change, C, and sometimes recognition of this disturbance, D. However, you are not shown the ending of the film in a trailer, as it allows for enigmas to be raised by the audience, and they will want to know what happens at the end. Therefore, in order for these enigmas to be answered, they have to go to see the film at the cinema. Transitions are a common convention in trailers. They help to keep the film continuous and running smoothly, from one scene to the next, in a continuous and flowing movement. It makes the story behind the trailer make sense, and it also creates a more interesting and attractive look to the trailer. Transitions can also be used for flashbacks or technical features in trailers. Every film that has or is going to be released in the UK is given an age certificate by the British Board of Film Classification, BBFC. This is normally shown at the start or the end of the trailer to let the audience know who is suitable to view the film when released. It is a very important aspect of films as it gives an idea of the content of the film before viewing the whole thing and therefore knowing who it is suited to. The lighting in a trailer can set the whole scene for the film. It can again give the audience a feel for what the genre is, and it can also attract and build tension, suspense, and also emotion. If the lighting is dark, it can make you feel wary, whereas if it is bright and natural, it can make you feel safe and secure or even calm. Throughout our trailer, we have a range of brightnesses and lighting, depending on the scene, but overall, I would say that typically throughout the lighting is darker and duller to convey the genre of horror and build tension and suspense. When researching a number of different film trailers for a variety of genres, I noticed that they all had a roughly similar length of running time, mostly between 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes. The reason that they only run for this amount of time is so that they can show enough to entice and attract the target audience to want to watch the film, but also so that they don't give away too much of the whole film to ruin the ending. The music is also a key convention of the trailer, as this also gives the audience an idea of what the genre is. The music often matches the pace of the film, such as horror movies normally have fast-paced music when something intense is about to happen, as it builds up suspense and emotions. At the beginning of a horror trailer, there is usually a sense of normality created. Despite this, the horror genre is prominent mainly because of the non-diegetic and enhanced sounds that create fear, because even though it seems normal, the music adds a sense of the unknown and doubt in the audience's mind because they are waiting for something to go wrong. For me, one of the key conventions of any trailer is the extensive number of shots used. No matter the genre, the shots used in a trailer can help a lot to tell the story and also give an idea of the genre. Close-ups and fast-paced cuts can imply horror and build tension, whereas slower cuts and long shots are more likely to be used in comedy or romance trailers. The clips usually consist of establishing long and medium close-up shots. However, towards the end of the trailer, once the equilibrium has been disrupted, the clips change more frequently, and instead of fade to black transitions, they are separated by quick cut transitions. These clips usually consist of more intimate shots that put the audience on edge, such as close-ups and extreme close-ups, as well as handheld shots. Iconography is the visual images and symbols used in a work of art or the study or interpretation of these, and in a trailer the iconography is key to highlighting the genre. For horror trailers, this iconography includes low-key, expressive and non-naturalistic lighting. Props such as knives and old dolls are conventionally used. Lighting is one as it is expressive and non-naturalistic. Evil spirits are a common icon for horror films. Therefore, we tried to convey this in our own trailer by creating a spirit that was taunting a young girl. Ghosts are not used as much in horror films as they used to be. I personally think that this is because they are not seen as scary or horrifying in comparison to things such as possessed children or psychotic people. Haunted or abandoned houses are quite often used in thriller or horror movies, usually with a story of a family who used to live there. I personally think that the use of haunted houses can be effective if they are used in the right way, so they have a story behind them. Therefore, taking this into consideration, we chose a location that looked or could look old and scary once edited, and if it was filmed in the right way. But as the house was not the basis of our story, we weren't able to show it much during the trailer. But what we did do was decide to use an old church in the woods, as this is similar to a haunted house, but fit more effectively in our trailer. In some horror trailers, there is the use of masks commonly to cover up someone's identity. This builds and creates tension within the audience, and it makes them intrigued as to who is wearing the mask and why they are wearing it. So we decided to manipulate this common iconography, and we used the mask to cover up the face of the evil spirit or person. Horror films often deal with the viewer's nightmares, hidden fears, and terror of the unknown. So taking this into account, we decided to literally create the trailer as the main character's nightmare, making it more realistic to the audience. Angles are used constantly in a horror trailer, as these create fear. The most common angles used are low angles and high angles, and also point of view angles. Low angles connote the character as being looked at by something unknown, and also makes them seem vulnerable, which is the same for high angles, as it connotes that the characters are being looked down upon, like they are less superior than the spirit. Point of view shots give off a huge sense of fear, as we can put ourselves in the shoes of the character, as we are seeing exactly what they are seeing. The angle of the camera also alters and usually becomes higher up, making the audience feel inferior. There are many iconic sounds used in horror trailers, and to me this is one of the most key conventions, as the sounds create the tension and build suspense within a horror. Therefore, we knew that we needed to find the most suited music that would fit this video and also build tension. The most common music is fast-paced music when there is a chase scene. We decided to use this type of music for the scene where our main character felt as though she was being followed and as she was running. This creates an effective look when the music matches what is on screen. Sound effects are also key, as non-diegetic sound is always enhanced on top of the diegetic sound to create a more dramatic tone. We use some of the most common sound effects in horror: thumps, loud bangs, screeches and screams. Props normally seen in horror films include masks, guns, chainsaws and knives. As we only had the availability to a mask, this was the only prop that we decided to use. We also tried to use a knife, but we found it difficult to make a scene where it could be used and used effectively and realistically. Clothing can be casual in horror films for the characters that are being presented as normal people, but for the demons or spirits, the clothing is normally seen as worn out or old, or typically dark. Again, taking note of this, we made sure that the clothing of the evil character in our trailer was dark and dull to typically represent his character as being horrific. Finally, makeup is used often in horror films to show blood, scars, cuts or murder. It can also be used to distort characters' faces. As one of the main parts of our trailer was going to be a scar mysteriously appearing on the back of the main character, we had to think of a way to create it to make it look real. So we decided to research how to make cuts and scars with makeup. This was very successful and we were able to learn how to create realistic cuts and practice beforehand to test it out. We used a lip liner pencil and smudged it to create a look that was not only scary but real.